Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Stu, and I'm here to talk about art. The art. So, if you guys don't know, I make art. I do art. I have a card game I've been working on, and trying to get more videos of that out, but also trying to get other fun videos I want to do. So, if you like art videos where I talk about art, stick around. Or if you like videos where I talk about card games and talk about game mechanics and rules, also stick around. I'm going to be doing a lot of both. And in this video in particular, I wanted to talk about how I feel about my art sometimes. And if you guys don't know, when I do my card game, I make all the art myself. I draw every card, everything, and I make it all myself. And recently, since I got my iPad during COVID, I've really transitioned to a digital artist. Before that, I was purely a physical medium kind of guy. I had a Sharpie and I had my pens, and I would go and I would make all my cool stuff. And at some point I'll do like a whole tour of like some of my old sketches and drawings and things like that. And it felt right for me because I love the physicality of it. And when I moved over to digital, there was this general artifice, that layer that I wasn't able to really kind of comprehend for a long time. I would draw a lot of stuff, but it just wouldn't click with me. And I think I've been trying to get better and better because obviously, look, you can create everything digitally or physically, but at some point there should probably be a synthesis of the two. And I think the benefits of drawing on Procreate kind of outweigh some of the negatives of it. And I've been learning to get better and better. But one thing that's always been kind of a stickler for me personally is how I draw. Now, I'm not taught, like no one went and taught me, here's how you draw a head, you draw the shape like this, and you do this, and you do that. A lot of people go to art school, a lot of people have art classes they go to that do that. I did not. I, in fact, am a self-taught artist. My mom, also an artist, she loves to draw, and I just kept going. What was my art school? I would basically read a lot of comic books. As you can see here, I've got quite a few of them. I would read comic books and I would go and I would try to redraw the panels. So I wasn't like learning the structure behind it. I was merely just trying to emulate what people were doing. I'd read a lot of manga, a lot of anime, all that kind of stuff. And it's probably not the best way to learn because like you're not learning the basics and things like that. And if you look at my art nowadays, you can probably tell that there's something a little off. And what is that little offness? Well, it's basically the fact that my structure and my anatomy just aren't that great. Sometimes my face shapes are kind of weird. I tend to be very inconsistent from drawing to drawing. Some drawings are just bangers, just amazing, and I'm like, yo, I'm getting so good at this, and some of them are just so dog ass that I just don't know why. And I think part of it is just I'm not being consistent on the structural level that then leads up. So what I've been trying to do is trying to learn more and more ways. So if you see the channel, I have a video about Todd McFarlane's art tips. I've done, trying the anti-racist triangle, things like that, just to kind of try it out. And today I saw a guy on YouTube Shorts. I think his name's Chomang. I'll put a link to him and maybe like a little video so explaining this is Chomang. He does some really good stuff. I really love his videos, and he makes it seem so effortless doing this kind of like structure. And this is just a person who has taken their time and really understood the structures behind things, that now it becomes a lot more easier to do things. So I try to learn the Loomis method and try to just get better and more consistent at my art. And it's different from when I'm looking at like an actor or an actress and I can kind of like do my photocopy machine thing I do, where I look at it and I kind of just, which is cool and all, but I want to kind of be able to draw from here. And for me, there's always been this weird disconnect between the hardware and the software. When I see something in my brain, I'm not always able to draw it. I can draw maybe a semblance of it, but I can never really get to where I want. And that's something that kind of like really annoys me. And so for me, it's been very important to try to get there. Because man, there's some really cool stuff in my imagination, and I want to show you guys. I want to get consistent and I want to get faster. I think those are the two things I wanted to do. And so here's my journey. I drew a few different drawings here. You'll see a couple of them. One of them is a drawing that I did while trying to learn body structure a little bit more. And I did one drawing and I just really didn't like it. It had this like weird stripes things. It was just no bueno. And then I was like, okay, let me take the same structure. Let's get rid of all the hoopla because it didn't work. Let me redraw it. And I actually really loved the second version of this drawing. It's a guy with a metal mask on his head and he's like walking through the song. It's cool. I might do like a little bit more in depth in the voiceover. So voiceover Stu, take over now. See you then. Oh, hey, you guys are back. Thanks, voiceover Stu. It became kind of this idea that like I really just wanted to get better at structure. And I was like, okay, let me try different things. And as you can see here, I'm also drawing a new superhero. Or actually, I don't even know what this guy was. He was just this thing. And as you can see, as I'm drawing the proportions in the body, I think he's doing something like some weird pose or whatever. And that's because I just don't, like, I can see a pose in my head, but I can't translate that pose into this guy. You know, this guy is doing whatever he wants to do. He's like, ooh, I'm gonna draw whatever I want. And this drawing doesn't end up being like that. Like, too bad. It's like kind of fun. And in a way, it's unique because it's how I draw anatomy. It's not a proper way to do it, but it's how I do it. But maybe it's good that I'm not super great because I'm not drawing things the way everyone else draws things. You know what I mean? It's like there's like a definite difference between what I'm doing and what a lot of other people are doing. And it's kind of that funness. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to lose that either. So I draw women and children so poorly. It is god-awful how bad I draw those two groups of people. Monsters and men, easy, because I usually draw very ugly things. That's just how I draw things. I took a crack at drawing a character I have called Odysseia. I did a whole video on her, which you can check out somewhere, probably. There'll be a link to it. And so I drew her, and I tried to draw her in a few different times, just from the cabeza, just from my mind, drawing it, kind of getting it done. And it just wasn't looking right. I remember one of them had like this really sketch layer to it, and I really loved this sketch, but as soon as I started doing over that, it just didn't look well. And I was like, kept thinking to myself, what is going on? Why is this not going well? So I said, screw it, I'm just gonna go and try it again. And I did, and boy, does it not look good. It might be salvageable, I guess, but like for me, I just didn't feel like it really rang true. The face is kind of like in a weird, awkward shape. The eyes are kind of just wonky, and that is kind of the problem, is trying to draw this kind of like pseudo realistic, and not literally realistic, but like for me realistic, because like me, I draw things very loosey goosey. But when you do very loosey goosey, when you're trying to draw somebody that isn't a horribly disfigured monster or like old guy or whatever, it's a little harder to be okay with the end result. And I did not like this second one. It really just did not ring true for a lot of things. And so instead I went and tried to do a third one. I was like, okay, let me just please. And so I again, I went with this one with a pencil tool. I've been liking it a lot recently. We'll see if I stick to it or not. I think there's benefits and negatives to it, but we'll get there. And this one, actually, I really loved the final product, but there were still some issues. And I think what I really realized is the face and trying to get it right. And I kept trying to like make her look one way. And I was like, you know what? Odyssea's going to look like her. She's going to look like that. That's just how it is. Let's not be too mad about it. And I really love the design of the suit. The suit is so cool. I love that kind of neck thing she's got going on that goes over her shoulders. She's got like the white cape draped underneath at the back, and then she's got this like really cool blue feathered kind of unitard kind of thing, and it looks really cool. It's very iridescent. It's great. I love it. It's cool, and I think I really enjoyed this drawing. I liked making it, and I also really loved how it turned out, because it still has this like graphite feel to it, because I didn't go full black. I went like a little shade lighter than that, so it's like a dark, really dark gray, and I think it really feels very vivid. I also tried doing this with like an overdrawing with my usual pen, technical pen sketch drawing layer, and it just didn't look good. So I was like, okay, let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Keep this. And it looked great. I think I did her body really nice. Gave her this nice curve. And that's the thing, because sometimes when you draw stuff, I draw things weird, but I think it worked well for her. The only thing that didn't work out well, and I sent this to some people, and I got the same response, that her boobas were weird perfectly proportioned. And I agree. And I remember when I was drawing it, I was like, oh God, don't draw huge boobas because God, I don't want to be that guy that's on the internet and all he does is draw giant, giant bahugas, you know, or whatever, right? And so I was like, okay, you know, I'm like, oh, this is too big even. And in the drawing, it seems like that, at least when I was drawing it. But then as soon as I stepped back and I started hearing from everyone, they're like, what's up? So I had to go in and refix it. And I'm still kind of not sure where I want to be because I'm not trying to be like, yeah. But also at the same time, you want to be like realistic to some degree because what I gave her was kind of like weird and just wasn't working well. So that's something I still kind of got to get over a bit where I'm like, okay, all right, let's not be shy about this. You know, there's a character. This is what your body looks like. I'm sorry. Um, but I found that funny. That's the one issue that everyone seemed to have with it. And I was like, okay, cool. Everything else is great, right? They're like, yeah, we loved everything else. I'm like, okay, cool. So just, I'll keep that in mind. And so I did. So when you look at I fixed them, and I think it works better. Can I push it farther? Yeah, but like I don't want to push my luck there. I think this is good. It fits with their body, and I think that, well, more than anything, is what I'm looking forward to. Is what I'm looking for, I should say. And this was a labor of love. I finally got to a place where I feel like I can get a hold of this. There you go. That is the art. And I also did a bonus little Eggman drawing. Eggman, yes. Uh, Again, with this guy, it's just a fun sketch. I had a good time with it. There wasn't any weight to anything. I was like, you know what? I've drawn dudes before. I've drawn like weird looking dudes. I've drawn muscular looking dudes, skinny dude. Like this isn't a big deal. For me, this was like a really fun drawing that I thought, you know, hey, look, this is kind of just like for shits and giggles. Let's just draw something, kind of get a little bit of the energy out, you know, kind of trying to be very precise. And it's great. I love it. It's a very awkward angle for everything because I think his hands are like doing this, his arms are like doing this like really weird pose, but in a way that kind of makes it very unique to me, and I kind of love it, you know. And while the character may be ridiculous seeming and ridiculous looking, it was just a fun thing, and I think you gotta allow yourself to have the semblance of technique and skill while also giving yourself enough time to be loose and let your subconscious just go, you know, let it go, let it do what it wants to do, and it's going to come up with something interesting. So I feel like when you're drawing things, there is this world of like you're too structured, you're too like it's too much, but sometimes that's not a bad thing, but sometimes it can be. And sometimes you're too loose. I'd say I'm very loose when it comes to my drawings. And I have a friend who's like, he's described himself as very technical. And so I think for both of us, it's been kind of like trying to reach that inner middle circle where we're kind of both technically minded, but also loose minded. And we can kind of combine these to create some real cool animorphs or, you know, the Power Rangers structure of some sort. Um, Thank you guys for watching so much. I really do appreciate it. Eggman was fun. If you like any of this, let me know. If you don't, I don't know. Let me know too, I guess. What did you guys think of some of the drawings I showed in this video? I'd be very interested to see you guys' opinions. And thank you so much. I really do appreciate you guys watching and listening. And it's been fun. So thank you. Peace.